So how I got started competing, because I feel like so many people that follow my journey now don't actually know that I started in very similar positions to where they're starting. I started in 2011. The bikini division was less than a year old, and I lived in Oklahoma. I was actually an executive chef at a restaurant called 105 Degrees. And I got started competing because I had a really bad injury from when I danced professional ballet. And I was told I had to go to the gym and do these certain movements to strengthen around my knee from where I had the injury. So every day I'd go to the gym and I'd do these like 2 movements and then walk on the treadmill for an hour and then leave. And the owner of the gym kept trying to convince me to do a personal training session that'd be fun, I'd love it, it'd be free. I eventually did the personal training session, and the personal trainer convinced me to do a mock prep into the Oklahoma Grand Prix. And I had never worn a 2-piece bikini. And essentially, like, I really enjoyed the process of having someone train me and trying to follow a nutrition plan. It gave me something to focus on that was healthy, and it got me out of my comfort zone. I ended up actually stepping on stage. I made a ton of friends, and I found out that I actually loved it. So once I did that show, my very first show, I did win the overall. I'm a very like over the top dedicated person. Like if I do something, it's pretty much full force, all or nothing. So I became a complete competitor. But after that show, I literally started doing shows because it was fun for me. It was something for me to like focus on. It's something I could improve on and get better. And I like worked so much in the kitchen. I wanted something to do outside of the kitchen. So pretty much I started competing and going to nationals. After my very first show, I went to nationals and I got 3rd call outs maybe. And I was just so humbled by how amazing those girls were, because coming from Oklahoma, being like small town, I just won a show, going to nationals in Miami, I got my ass handed to me. And that's when I got really excited, because it's like, I knew this was something that I would continually have to grow and get better if I wanted to like do well. And so it took me 5 years to turn pro. So it was a very long process. From that point, in the first 4 years, I never broke out of that placement area. I pretty much was last call out a few times, 3rd call out, 4th call out. I never actually placed top 5 until 2014. I got 5th place once. Next show, I wasn't in top 5. And then the show after that, 2 weeks later, I won 1st place and turned pro. So in 2011, when I started competing, it was just for fun. And then as I started competing more and more, I think by 2013, I had won 7 like overall titles at just regional shows. And girls at the shows were asking me for help. So I was like meeting with girls that were competing and helping them pose and kind of telling them what I did to win that show. And then from there, it turned into where I really enjoyed that more than what I was doing for a living. So I quit my real job and decided I just wanted to pursue like competing and helping other women in the industry. And I think my family thought I was a little crazy, because people that aren't in the industry, when bikini first started, no one even knew what it was. And it seemed kind of like a pipe dream for me to say I was going to like coach bikini competitors. But pretty much 2012, 2013 is when I started helping other women compete. And eventually it transitioned into like, I was competing on the national circuit and I had clients competing with me on the national circuit. And I remember the show that I finally turned pro at, when I got in the line, every girl there said they thought I was already pro. And I just like, there were a lot of shows I'd go to and I didn't compete at because I had girls competing. So it was like a fine balance of like trying to find shows that I didn't have girls in, that I could actually compete at. So like when I initially turned pro, when it takes someone 5 years to turn pro, you don't turn pro and then not want to compete on the pro circuit. So the whole time I was competing to go pro, the reason why I wanted to go pro so bad is I wanted to be able to like travel the world and represent USA in Italy or in Sweden. So the minute I turned pro, I picked a line of pro shows that were outrageously far away, where I would have to take 14-hour flights and drag my mom with me. So it was a lot of fun though. I competed in 7 pro shows, and the last one I got 6th place. I competed for a year as an IFBB pro, and my last 2 shows I was told that I really needed to mature, that I was very young and muscularly I needed more development. And that wasn't something that was going to happen in a 16-week prep or a 20-week prep. It was something that was going to happen with time. So then I backed off from competing, which actually gave me the opportunity to focus on coaching, which I also love. So then I was able to build Boss Bodies, because the last year I competed was actually the year that I started Boss Bodies. So, you know, I would say my ending, I don't really have an ending yet, because I haven't done all that I can do in the pro circuit. I just needed time to mature and to grow. and to become a better athlete, which was the same thing that I needed on the national circuit for years that I finally took, and then I turned pro. So who knows, maybe I'm not done competing.